In my opinion, the best way to cut someone off is to give them grace. Go ahead and just step back. Don't explain yourself, don't say anything. Just step back. And if they don't confront you about it and be like, hey, like, what happened? Like, I kind of peeped that you kind of took a step back and don't talk as much to me anymore. If they don't, like, confront you about it, then there was never your friend in the first place, never cared about you in the first place. And, I mean, you wanted to get rid of them anyway, so great. You don't have to deal with no confrontation. But if they do end up confronting you, then state your case. Then explain to them why you dropped them and why you don't want them in your life anymore. But if you were to just come out the blue and just drop them, then it leaves them it leaves them room to kind of like argue with you and kind of like find excuses and reasons of not taking any accountability or not really getting to the root of the problem. It just leaves a lot of room for unnecessary mess. Versus if you were to just step back. I know, like, a lot of us rather, like, we think like, oh, I'm gonna drop this person, let me just tell them I'm dropping them so they don't hit me up later, because eventually, you know, a conversation is probably going to be had. But it's actually better to just wait and let them come to you and be like, hey, why haven't you been talking to me? You've been distant. It works better like that, because then when you say, oh, like, you know, this is why, they don't really have any wiggle room to, you know, make you feel bad about it or try to make it seem like you're tripping. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, it's just all on them, if you get what I'm saying. I say this because I've made the mistake of texting my sister and telling her, like, I'm dropping you, this isn't it, like, this on third, right? And she was like, what the fuck, like, why are you just coming out the blue with this? Like, you always do this, you always run in circles, like, I'm not helping you no more. Like, next time you have a shroom trip or a drug problem, like, you're all on your own, blah, blah, blah. Like, you always do this shit. And it was just like, damn, like, you know, we had a conversation back and forth, and after the conversation was over, it wasn't like a conversation, it was more like, I don't want to say an argument, because I really was not arguing with her. I reached a place of peace in my life where it's just, none of that even matters, for real. I was really, like, in the message, I was really trying to end on, like, good terms. Like, I was like, you know, like, I'm still hurt about, you know, how you treated me in the past and stuff like that, and, like, I'm still not over it. And, like, it was like, you know, when we were kids was different, but this was like when we were in high school, you know what I mean? So it's like, at this point, that's just who you are. So I was like, I just don't want you in my life. Like, you just disrupt my peace. I don't even, our personalities aren't even the same. I don't even know how we ended up being born as siblings. Like, we have nothing in common. But yeah, so I was really trying to end on good terms. I was like, we're good though, we just don't really need to be in each other's lives. But she, like, you know, blew up on me and all this, that, and the third. And I kind of sat and I reflected after, like, we were done, like, going back and forth. I kind of sat and I reflected, and I was like, how could have I handled this better? And that's when I realized, don't speak your truth if they didn't ask for it, because it leaves them a lot of wiggle room.